Let's take you back to Florida now in the case against Jonchuck. He's facing murder charges in the horrific death of his daughter, accused of throwing her over a bridge. I want to bring in Josh Solomon from the Tampa Bay Times. He actually is joining me from the courthouse. He's been watching the case unfold there in Florida, and you're in a workroom right there, and I understand court is going to resume in about a half an hour.
Yes, yeah, I'm in the media room here. We're relegated to a sort of a back room, and court does resume in about a half an hour. We're in the middle of watching some interrogation footage. Jonchuck, after he was apprehended, was taken to the Manatee County Jail, which is south of St. Petersburg, and that's where he waited for, I don't know, maybe about an hour until St. Petersburg detectives could make their way down to that jailhouse, that police station, I should say, and pick him up and bring him back to their jurisdiction.
And Josh, I was listening along with you to some of the police interrogation, and it's a bit slow in terms of listening to it because there's a lot of pauses there. But what are the key points that you think prosecutors are trying to make to show jurors this, in terms of this police interview?
Yeah, I think that at various times the video serves the prosecution and the defense. Of course, I'm not an expert and I'm not a juror, but just sitting in the courtroom, there are times where Jonchuck seems to be in the, quote, here and now, which is something the prosecution said the jurors would see in this video. Of course, in order to be found not guilty by reason of insanity, which is what the defense is arguing, then they need to be able to prove that Jonchuck either didn't know what he was doing when he dropped his daughter off the bridge or didn't know that it was wrong. And the prosecution is making the case that this video, which was taken within an hour of the incident 4 years ago, shows that Jonchuck, was in the here and now. And there are instances where he's conversing, he's coherent, he's articulate. There are also instances where he seems to have he's lying face down on the table. He asks how his daughter is doing. Of course, he dropped his daughter off the bridge less than an hour ago. So I think there are instances that perhaps play to both sides. So, it'll really be, up to the jurors how they want to interpret that and in which, facts or segments of the video that they choose to rely on.
So we had some police officers on the stand this morning, and, we didn't learn a whole lot of anything new. What do we expect this afternoon? I'm curious specifically, do you think at any point the attorney who once represented Jonchuck will take the stand on, will he be a prosecution witness? She, I should say, be a prosecution witness.
Yeah, Genevieve Torres. I really don't know. I know that we have to, when we come back in the afternoon, there's going to be more of this video of Jonchuck in this holding room. I can't say for sure what kind of testimony we're going to hear this afternoon. I do think, though, that the prosecution is more interested in the facts, after Jonchuck dropped his daughter. I don't wish to speculate, but I would think that perhaps Genevieve Torres' testimony might be more beneficial to the defense if they're trying to create a narrative of him, not being of sound mind, in the hours before the incident.
Of course, because she was concerned. She actually called authorities on him at the time after he left her office with the child, saying he's not in the right state of mind. Please do something.
Right. And since we're on the prosecution's case in chief here, and will continue to be for the next day or so. If the defense chooses to call her, that wouldn't be until later in the week or perhaps next week.
Josh Solomon, I also want to commend your paper, the Tampa Bay Times, and your coverage of what's been going on. They've really been all over this story. They released a really long piece that really gave an in-depth look about how the system failed Phoebe, the young 5-year-old girl, over and over again. And it's just a horrifying read because, Josh, you know this story. You've got two parents here that were clearly, at least by a lot of recollection, not fit to be parents.
Yeah, I mean, and shout out to my colleague Landa Gregory. She wrote a story 3 years ago called "The Long Fall of Phoebe Jonchuck,"
yes.
Where she really chronicled, Phoebe's life, and in a sense, really the two takeaways from that story is that there were so many people who along the way probably could have stepped in and saved Phoebe, and at the same time, her home life was such that, in a sense, also, she really didn't have much of a chance.
15 different homes in her 5 years. 15 different homes she lived in. Such a tragic story, Josh. I know you probably have to get back. You have a few minutes before court starts. We appreciate you, as always, for joining us and giving us a little update on what's happening inside the courthouse. We're going to continue to monitor this case. Thanks so much. In the meantime, while we're waiting for court to begin, I want to play a little bit more of that police interrogation from inside the holding room. So let's listen to that as we're waiting for court to resume.